Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned.
Tune the madness down the rage. The world's a jungle stage by stage. Shock Monkey Radio. Feel the static, let it go. Shock Monkey Radio. Twist it down and lose control.
Man, I hate summer. I really do. The older I get, the less I can handle it. Even when I was young, I hated the heat. I was living in Georgia, growing up in Georgia. I'd only go out early in the morning or at dusk, and the rest of the time I'm inside. Even when I was going out at dusk and so forth, I was still sweating buckets. It was very humid. I was living next to a swamp in Georgia. It was awful. And so during the day, in the hottest parts of the day, which was all of the day mostly, I was sit inside and read books, And, my hatred of the heat is also a big reason why I joined the Navy. Everybody who joins the Army or the Marine Corps or even the Air Force, they go to the hottest places on earth. They're always sweating somewhere. Growing up watching these Vietnam movies, everyone's soaking wet. I'm like, I don't want to join the Army. All those Navy guys are in nice air-conditioned ships. And that's exactly what I did. I went to a nice air-conditioned ship. Man, I hate summer. Numerous bugs everywhere. Giant. And they're big. They're bigger. Once summer starts closing, they're bigger and they're more numerous. You got the swamp ass, you got the soaking wet back, and the feeling like you need to shower 3 times a day. Man, I hate summer. I cannot wait for fall. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. I'm always mad at something. Or it's just I'm crazy. I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate it. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio. All one word. Or you can follow me on social media up there. So I've been revisiting the idea of having a briefcase full of fake money. You can bring up that image of that. I just did a cursory look for how much fake money is going for these days. For like $8. You can get $100,000 of fake money. And the reason why I'm revisiting this idea is I saw a body cam video where this guy got arrested for a completely different reason, right? And, because he was alone in the car, they had to search the car, for tow. And the cop was like looking through the back seat. The guy's already cuffed and in the back of the cop car. And the guy's going through the back seat and he, flips open a box and there's like $100,000 in cash. And he's like, whoa. So he goes, opens the door. You want to tell me what all that cash is all about? He's like, oh, no, man, that's all fake money. It's fake money. He's like, what? And this cop goes back and looks, oh, man, it is fake. And, they don't even ask him why he has it. But I did this cursory look at eBay looking to see, I guess there's like an account that does nothing but sell fake money. That's interesting. And you can see there's like 89 carts. There's a lot of people buying $100,000 in fake money. What are they all doing with it? Is it all like small time cinematographers? I just named the show. Cinnamontographer. Anyway, there's a lot of people making short films and so forth, and sometimes you need props, like a bag full of money and so forth. But that's not why I want it. I mean, sure, I could come to a point where I could film something and I might need some prop cash. But really, the real reason I want it is I want a briefcase full of money. So I can go to like all my married friends. It's like go to my married friends. It's like I'll give you $100,000 for one night with your wife. And see how they go. Knowing the age of my friends, they'll all be like, how am I going to get that? The government's going to take a big chunk out of that. There's no way I can handle the taxes on that. How am I even going to hide it from the IRS? People my age, that's what they'd say. But then you may have some friends be like, okay. And you're like, what? And they may even call up their wife. Hey, babe. Yeah, the madman? Yeah, that ugly fat guy. Yeah. He said he'll give us $100,000 if for one night with you. What? Of course we'll do it. All right, we'll do it. That would be kind of weird to find out about your friends. It's like that. Well, that's not going to happen. I don't really want to bang your wife. It's all a joke. It's fake money. I mean, your wife is worth more than $100,000. First of all, second of all, certainly worth more than 100,000 fake dollars. And so I don't know. It's just the idea of like walking around with like a suitcase with handcuffed to me. It's full of fake money. I don't know. The idea is hilarious to me. Like a suitcase full of fake money, and go to like the most crime-ridden areas in town. I don't know. That's probably not a good idea. I'm likely to get shot, aren't I? I don't know. I don't know, but the idea just I find it to be hilarious. Do it for anything. You remember when I peed? You go to your sister. You remember when I peed in your lemonade? Yeah. Never talking about it again. This $100,000 is all yours. I don't know. I guess EK said like it's presenting that as real money. Cause you got to come clean with the joke at some point, or else you could go to jail. But I don't know. It seems fun, and you can get $1 million, I guess, for maybe like $70, $80. I'm sorry, math.
With that much money, you could hire a cinematographer.
With that much money, I could hire a cinematographer. Anyway, last week I was talking about cavalry, the most dangerous cavalry. Most dangerous cavalry of all of history. I talked about the winged hussars last week, and, that was a while ago, That was when the Muslims were trying to fight their way into Vienna. So we need some modern winged hussars, I guess, these days. But I wanted to move something a little more modern, even like maybe even, I would say, even the last cavalry. The last cavalry to really have any effectiveness in combat, and that's what would be like U.S. Civil War cavalry. It would be what some call dragoons. However, I don't like that name. I think it's borrowed from Europe, like the French and so forth. They're basically light cavalry in a more modern era, I should say. Now, of course, the whole reason I'm doing this is that the only thing more terrifying than a horse is a man on a horse trying to kill you. All right. And so that's why I'm doing this whole thing. And so when it comes to like terrifying cavalry, you got to talk about, 19th century U.S. military cavalry. Cavalry. And these guys, first of all, the armor's gone. It's all bullets. So armor generally wouldn't be helpful, but then they were facing in many altercations with Native Americans who were using like bows, arrows, and more primitive weapons, where old-fashioned armor could come in useful. But eventually, the Native Americans captured horses and they captured rifles and so forth, and so eventually the armor would have become useless almost immediately thereafter. So basically, they're light cavalry, so the horses could go run farther, run longer than any kind of cavalry before, because they're carrying less. These cavalry were very, very light. They had brand new weapons, repeating weapons, like the Spencer repeating rifle and the Spencer carbine, which are basically what we would call like a Winchester rifle, the little latch, magazine latch activated rifle, small caliber rifle. That's a carbine more so. And because of this repeating nature and the highly disciplined nature of these U.S. cavalry troops, they were amazing. And a lot of what they did was, particularly in the Union, I'm talking about the Union troops. The horses could move faster. They could, they would dismount and fight, which is scary. Like, a lot of these horses are very highly trained, and they wouldn't necessarily run off. Sometimes they tether them, obviously, but they would come in and they'd have their repeating rifles and their revolvers and so forth, and they could, fight like infantry, but very highly mobile infantry. And when it comes to what cavalry became in the U.S. military, which is like air cav, helicopters and stuff like that, it's purpose is to put infantry quickly onto the battlefield and extract them quickly from the battlefield. And back in the 19th century, that was the horse, unfortunately. They hadn't invented the car yet, so they had no choice. Additionally, like maybe a horse may freak out, because all gunfire, or maybe gets wounded, and you talk about your enemy's coming up on you, and you see a bunch of horses moving around in the background. That can be distracting, and you don't see the guy who's in cover, in front of you with his repeating rifle, and he'll blast you. And so this image here is obviously of Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott playing in the movie Gettysburg, the early 90s movie, Gettysburg. I'm Sam Elliott. I'm playing Brigadier General John Buford. And Brigadier General John Buford, at the Battle of Gettysburg, if you know anything about it, Confederate troops, like infantry, were coming into Gettysburg, but the cavalry got in there quicker because of the horses, and were able to occupy the town and send for help, say, hey, we found them. We found those Lee's men who kicked our asses in Fredericksburg and Chancellorsville and so forth. You got to understand, it's like this is after a big victory in Virginia for General Lee. And General Lee kept pushing forward into Gettysburg, and then this cavalry shows up and basically holds the position long enough for Union troops to get in there, and then it becomes infantry warfare, more so. But the speed at which these guys could do, they could dismount and fight while dismounted, and obviously in the Civil War, where they started using cover and so forth. And so they could dismount and fight and hold a position for long enough for help to arrive. And the mobility of that cavalry is incredibly dangerous. The rate of fire of that cavalry is incredibly dangerous. And there's nothing more terrifying than a man on a horse trying to kill you. Excuse me. All right. Let's do the coin of the week. Fly over to UAE, United Arab Emirates, real quick. We won't stay here long. Don't worry. Just stay close to me. All right. So we're doing a 1 dirham piece, Dirham. It's 0% lucky. Like I said, haven't been getting lucky on the scratchers lately. This is a standard circulating 1 dirham coin from United Arab Emirates. The obverse side, the side with the 1, you see the numerals are all Arabic style. After all, a lot of all numbers as we know them come from Arabic style. So I don't know if it's like one of the last things Muslim culture created, like telescopes, and that was it. So yeah, features a denomination of 1 dirham in the center, surrounded by the country name in Arabic at the top, and United Arab Emirates in English at the bottom. It's funny how they do that, right? A lot of these foreign coins would put their English words on their coins. World power. The reverse side is the side with the pot. Depicts traditional Arabic coffee known as the dala, a cultural symbol of hospitality in the UAE and the broader Arab world. The dates are Hijri and Gregorian. Okay, so that's the two different. Okay, got it. It depicts traditional, blah, blah, okay, Hijri, and appear below it, Eastern Arabic numerals. The design was engraved by Geoffrey Colley. The dollar design has been used on the UAE 1 dirham coin since the currency's introduction in 1973. And specifications, there are a few main varieties. Large type, 73 to 89, copper, nickel, blah, blah, blah. See, it doesn't know like which type it is. There's a small type, it doesn't know. And then there's a magnetic type. There's a bunch of different types of this coin, so it doesn't really know because it's about like how large it is. It doesn't have a perspective of how, like the size. It doesn't have like, what do you need? Like a ruler. If I had a ruler next to it, maybe you could find out more on it. If I could tell if it was ferromagnetic, because there's different types. Anyway, so my photo matches the classic design used across these issues, but it can't tell which, the AI can't tell which one specifically. Is insulting my picture, saying I can't read the dates. You suck at photography. Value in circulation. They're common circulating coins with a face value of 1 AED, worth around 27 cents. Circulated examples typically have little to no premium value over face value for collectors, typically under $1 or $2, depending on condition and year. The UAE Dirham was introduced in 73 after the country's formation, replacing earlier currencies used in the Emirates. The 1 dirham, along with 20 and 25 fils, remain in everyday use. We can go on a shopping spree in UAE with this. I doubt it. I doubt it. And, the coffee pot, it's in the Arabic world, their coffee. Have you had the coffee? The Arabic world. It's the most disgusting sludge that you could ever be called coffee you'll ever drink. But at the same time, it's zing! It is loaded with caffeine. It was funny. I was also looking at this coin thinking, I see it in my pocket. I was looking at this coin thinking about coffee and how it's the first drug offered to you almost everywhere in the world. Anywhere you go in the world, it's the first drug offered to you in any home in the world. Caffeine. And it's funny, like Arabic nations are like, no hashish. Like, okay. Caffeine all day long. All right. No alcohol. I was like, that's a dumb idea, but okay. Alcohol and caffeine build societies. I can understand not liking hashish because it causes societies to fart around and be ridiculously crazy. Like America after the legalization of marijuana. Yep, so this is a 1 dirham piece from UAE. We have about 10 seconds to get to the airport and get the hell out of this crazy backwards country. All right, and while we're in the air, we'll make decisions about where we go next week. How about that? That's the coin of the week. All right, I don't usually review series, but I had been watching the Tales from the Crypt series, and I want to talk about it. All right, I understand that there's a bunch of movies. Apparently, there was a movie in 1972 called Tales from the Crypt. I'm definitely going to look that one up and try to watch it. And I kind of want to go over the Tales from the Crypt movies. Because I remember there was one called Demon Night. There was one called Bordello of Blood. I thought that Bordello of Blood was terrible. But I remember Demon Night being really good. Excuse me. But I watched this Tales from the Crypt series. And the first thing I want to talk about is this friggin' Crypt Keeper guy. He drives me nuts with the horrible puns. All right. I've always said that puns are the lowest form of humor. And in many ways they are. However, I'm not above using it, especially if it's a strategic pun or I play it off as an accidental pun. If you do a pun well, that's okay. But when it comes to doing puns poorly, this guy's the king of it. The king of horrible, forced puns. And it's irritating. Here's the difference, but here's the flip side of that particular coin. All right, if you're watching one of the Tales from the Crypt's many terrible episodes, and at the end of the episode you get this guy coming up and making fun of it and doing terrible puns, you're still like, okay, well at least I got that at the end. That's a little entertaining and fun. And so when you watched a horrible episode of Tales from the Crypt, then you're like, okay, well at least he made me laugh there at the end. So that drove me nuts. Additionally, this series came out in the early days of cable. I don't know if you remember cable television. And the big advantage of cable television at the time was swearing and nudity. And so in many of these Tales from the Crypt episodes, there's a lot of this softcore porn kind of Skinamax feel to it. I mean, it doesn't really bother me, but I mean, I guess after Game of Thrones, I'm done with that. It's like, I don't need that. Nudity is so easy to see as an adult, In fact, it's a little too easy to see as an adult because that means, kids can see it too. So, I mean, it is just, it's irritating sometimes, but I remember back in the day, it was like, oh, boobies! And after a while, you're not so impressed anymore. I'm kidding. They're all wonderful ladies. The last and 7th season of this is absolutely terrible. Do not recommend. If you get through season 6, skipping season 7, no big deal. It doesn't even have much of the softcore porn aspects of it. The plots are horrible. It seems like they outsourced it to a British studio. And although you do see a bunch of British actors who you will have seen, since then, doing some episodes. So if you want to see, look how young Eddie Izzard is, look how young James Bond is, you could do that if you like. But I would say skip. season 7. There's many terrible episodes, like I said, but there is some good ones, and the honorable mentions I want to mention are season 4, episode 12, which is called Strung Along. It's a classic Twilight Zone type of episode, and in Twilight Zone and even in like Night Gallery, they had a couple episodes that were involved dolls and like ventriloquists and so forth. And in many ways, it's kind of one of those archetypes, and when it comes to horror, where you can always return back to it. Especially, it's just like the Annabelle movies, the freaking doll. That stuff is terrifying. And if you're a ventriloquist, say you're like a 10-year-old kid and you're learning ventriloquism, and you put your puppet over there, and he looks like the Crypt Keeper, and in the middle of the night you wake up and you look at your Crypt Keeper puppet, and you're like, that's too scary. I don't want that in my room. That's why they are always put in boxes. If you ever look at put you in the box. And the Twilight Zone episodes, the guy was talking to us, so it's like it didn't matter anyway. So like I said, that's a good honorable mention. Another honorable mention is season 6, number 15, episode 15, called You Murderer, which I think is one of those episodes that was great about early cable, is that they could start getting more experimental in terms of what they're producing. Like, for example, a studio isn't going to put a whole lot of money behind a movie where Humphrey Bogart's old footage and voice can be used for an episode. And so You Murderer is about this guy who gets murdered, and it's Humphrey Bogart. All right. He's got Humphrey Bogart's face, but he got plastic surgery so he can look like Humphrey Bogart. Why? I don't know. But, and so it's like they're trying to resurrect Humphrey Bogart, and they're using all these images and film clips of Humphrey Bogart. And I thought that was an interesting concept with a decent plot. And I don't know, it's like that kind of experimental stuff. I mean, that doesn't really happen anymore. Because studios only going to really back something if they know it's a hit. And even back then, that was the truth. I mean, the absolute hands down best episode of the Tales of the Crypt series is season 3, episode 14, season ender. All right. And clearly the studio knew that this was the best script they'd come across so far for a Tales from the Crypt episode. It's called Yellow, and it's like a World War I period piece, and it's about this general played by, what's his name? Kirk Douglas? Yeah, Kirk Douglas. And has Robert Zemeckis as director, has Dan Aykroyd in it. So, I mean, the studio knew that it was the strongest script, so they hired the best people to do the story, and it's fantastic. Yeah, Kirk Douglas is like a colonel, and his son is like a lieutenant underneath him, and his lieutenant, he's yellow. He's scared of getting involved in combat. It is World War I after all. You have every right to be scared of that. But I mean, your job as an officer is to lead. And so there's a situation where he's supposed to do something on attack. He doesn't do it. He has to be disciplined. His father has to discipline him. And there's a twist at the end that is fantastic. It's really good. And so, yeah, when it comes to a series, like, for example, that yellow episode would probably get like 11, 12 stars from me. But as a whole series, I'll give it 6 of 13 stars. It's worth about 1 watch through. But you'll probably feel like the same way I do about stuff like, oh God, I don't need any softcore porn. I get shoved down my face in the Game of Thrones era. I still do those new Game of Thrones stuff. Do they still have still nudity in it?
They still do Game of Thrones.
Okay. I don't know. You think they would have learned their lesson? Because it's a story. A good story doesn't necessarily need nudity unless you're trying to rope in, how old was I back then? 16-year-old boys in the middle of the night watching Tales from the Crypt on HBO on low enough volume so his parents can't hear them, because the commercials are all, or you go to regular TV where they had commercials, and it's like, you lonely tonight? Some girl in a bathing suit standing next to a waterfall. You lonely tonight? You could talk to me live right now. 1-900, not real. 1-800 not real. This is not a real relationship, and it costs you $5 a minute. So, I mean, then you're happy to see free movies on, well, it's not free, you're paying for HBO, free movies on TV. Anyway. Let's do a movie review and then we'll get to the news. How are we doing on time? Perfect. So I watched a 2023 movie called Knox Goes Away, and whenever I see a movie like this new on Tubi for free, which is where I watch many of these things, it makes me concerned that it probably was not very critically acclaimed. I don't go to Rotten Tomatoes and see what they say. It's like there's only one authority when it comes to movies and television and ratings movies, and that is me. That is shockmonkeyradio. I am the authority on the movie rating system. So I don't care what anyone else says. But if anyone said that this is a horrible movie, they are very wrong. They're very wrong. It's a brilliant plot, and it's really, really well written. And not so well shot. I would say it's very well shot, but not perfectly shot, if you ask me. Anyway, we'll come to that at the end. So it's basically about a hitman who starts losing his mind, has like basically Alzheimer's. It's actually a specific disease where it's like far more advanced than Alzheimer's, and so he starts slipping. Starts forgetting things. It's like, forget where my car is. It's like, what was your wife's name? I call her Kelly. It's like, Kelly? I divorced her 20 years ago, and so his mind is slipping, but there's, oh, shit. I'm a hitman, and there's a bunch of murders, and I kind of screwed up because I forgot stuff, so I'm forgetting stuff. Now I got to cover up all these murders, and my mind is slipping. And you're like, there's no way this guy's going to pull it off. Because he's not doing well. The whole tension, is him. The whole tension of the movie is you're as a viewer is like, is he going to remember about these murders he's got to clean up after? Because he's been sitting around his kitchen trying to figure out where he is for the last 10 minutes. All right. So playing opposite like of a bad guy protagonist, as we are in this movie, there's a brilliant, politically correct Asian female detective, and I thought it would be a problem because she's mouthy and mean and talks down to people. It's like, why is it always guys with you? Why is it always guys? It's like the guy came from behind. That guy did that. So it's like, you know what? Whatever. The suspect, the they, them, theirs, whoever. And she's like, welcome to 21st century. And the guy's like, psh. And that's what I liked about the movie. It's like, yes, she existed as a character, but all of her coworkers were exasperated with her. And that's what I liked about it. I was like, oh, this is going to be a problem. I'm not going to like this character. But all of her coworkers are exasperated with her. And she's not, my mother taught me how to find out motive because she was overbearing and stuff like this. Ugh, nobody wants to know. Anyway, so I found that to be pretty realistic. I really like that. The third act is a masterstroke in terms of what the characters do and and the story. How the story ends. It really is a beautiful masterstroke. It's probably one of the best third acts of a movie I've seen in quite some time. It is really, really good. After all, this guy, Knox, he was a genius. He had like 2 PhDs, really an intelligent guy. And when they're talking about like the Alzheimer's and losing your mind, Al Pacino's in this as well. And he plays like his older mentor and so forth that helps him. He tells Al Pacino, so you need to keep calling me and remind me that I got something to do. Because he's slipping, Knox goes away. He's going away. And he has to go like to say goodbye to people and stuff like that. So there's some like heart-to-heart stuff at the same time. There's all this murder cover-up going on. And it's kind of brilliantly blended in the movie. So in order for you to have some emotional connection to this character. And so at the end of the movie, when he's gone, you feel something, even though he's a multiple murderer, covered up a bunch of murders. And that's brilliant screenwriting. You make you care about a despicable character. That's great. That's absolutely great. So, Knox Goes Away, 2023 movie, 12 of 13 stars. Scott, I thought it was the best third act you've ever seen. Well, slow down. It's slow and it's choppy and it's confusing at points. Michael Keaton was directing this, and it's not so bad in terms of direction. But he was trying to showcase what it's like to experience like Alzheimer's or this disease he had where you're forgetting stuff. And so there was a lot of this kind of Michael Keaton was I looking for my keys, or did I want a sandwich? Where's the keys? There's a lot of that, and it's choppy, and it shows like it's trying to show that his mind is slipping and so forth. There's also a scene with this prostitute he sees on the regular, tries to double cross him, and because she kind of knows what's happening to him, but it's like even when his mind is slipping, he's still smarter than some of these horrible criminals, you know. Anyway, so also I think the title could have been better. I know this is two things, but I'm only taking away 1 star for it. Knox Goes Away is an okay title. I would think like Losing Knox might be a better one, or even Knox's Exit. You know, it's a little bit of a tongue twister, but I think that's a fitting title, better title, a little bit catchier. Anyway, let's get into the news worth knowing. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, I did. 12 of 13. Were you checking your phone? Okay. I may have to clip the hell out of this one. Let's catch up on the war, such as it is. Iran-backed rebels kill 6 on a ship in Bab el-Mandeb Strait as Trump confirms Air Force One decoy. People are pissed off about that. It's so ridiculous. It's such a weird thing to be mad about. Anyway, U.S. and Iran have remained deadlocked in negotiations on Wednesday. Tehran issuing steep demands of President Donald Trump firing back of his own. It's like, when are you going to stop with this cycle, man? U.S. Navy fired on a Panama flag vessel attempting to bypass the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports on Tuesday. Okay, so I guess the Panamanian ship was trying to get to an Iranian port, and that's why. Because the Navy's letting people through as long as you're not going to Iran. Houthi rebels also struck another trade vessel off the coast of Yemen, killing 6 people. So they got all their pirates working on it now. Trump addressed reports that he was smuggled to a secret military jet on his return trip from a NATO summit in Turkey last month, saying he simply listened to the directions of the Secret Service. Yeah, they put him in it. Like, I don't know if you know about Turkey and I think even like Lebanon, all these other countries where Muslim populations are starting to take over and rule those nations. Like, Turkey's a very dangerous place. I can't believe Trump went there in the first place. You know, all Muslim countries hate us. They've always hated us, but they hate us specifically now because we're attacking the one true, I don't know, is it arguable as the last true caliphate? Anyway. Trump claims he has full control of the Strait of Hormuz, but, you know, Iran's still, you know, conducting attacks there. Israel vindicated by Gaza nutrition data after blood libel starvation claims, UN envoy says. Why is that in here? Is it because Israel always gets dragged into these conversations? It's U.S. and Iran. Like, and even Iran, when they're negotiating, we want Israel to stop doing shit too. And you're like, what? It's between you and me, you know. Hegseth stayed with Trump in Turkey plane swap, but Rubio stayed on decoy. Yeah, I'll be the decoy. Decoy was protected by fighter jets to make it look real, courtesy of your tax dollars. Iran defiant on Strait of Hormuz as Trump talks stall. Yeah, it's pretty much the same old thing, you know. You got it. I mean, I'm sorry, I have to say this, but if you want to win a war, you're going to need troops. That's all there is to it. That could mean American lives, obviously. And unfortunately, it seems like there's a lot of shit collapsing here at home. So this is a terribly important distraction, but distraction nonetheless. If America were actually Islamophobic, first of all, that would warm my heart a little bit. But second of all, we'd be far more interested in ending this, even at the cost of American lives. Because we need to get serious about Islam. All right, let's talk about Democrats losing their minds. So this computer's slower. Peggy Flanagan vows to, quote, rip ICE apart after toppling moderate Dem in key Senate battle. Tim Walz's Lieutenant Governor, Peggy Flanagan, won backing from Bernie Sanders and Ilhan Omar. So Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, who scored an impressive win in Minnesota's Democratic primary for Senate, wants to blow up immigration and customs enforcement after two slayings rattled her state earlier this year. Now, quote, now let's talk about Donald Trump's out-of-control ICE force, Flanagan said during her victory speech on Tuesday night. We need to rip ICE apart and stop them from terrorizing our communities. And I know this. I know that we can fix our broken immigration system, secure our border, and create a real pathway to citizenship that aligns with our values. Flanagan is another progressive insurgent challenging the status quo in the Democratic Party and handed Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer another defeat in the progressive proxy war in her decisive victory over Representative Angie Craig from Minnesota. Flanagan, like other progressives in the hunt for the position of power in Congress, has honed her left-leaning bona fides, did I get that right? By backing Medicare for all and pushing an end to military aid to Israel. She's vowed to go after ICE on the campaign trail in the wake of two deadly immigration enforcement-related shootings, Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy in Minnesota, and used Craig's support of legislation like the Lake and Rally Act as political cudgel to build a distinction between the two of them. Bernie Sanders, Ilhan Omar, Tina Smith all backed her. Amy Klobuchar has not weighed in. Anyway. Morale among Chuck Schumer's establishment is at an all-time low, and Bernie Sanders' socialist flank is filling the gap with candidates like Peggy Flanagan and Abdul Al-Sayed. Bernadette Breslin, a spokesperson for the National Republican Senatorial Committee, told Fox News Digital. Yeah, these Democratic socialists, they've lost their mind. They've really lost their mind. Socialism cannot work. I don't know if you read history at all, but you should read history. Because if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. I forget the exact quote, but I mean, and if you try this socialist stuff again, this communist stuff again, especially with Muslims in the country, they're just going to take over. They're just going to take over. And the idea that like these people, oh no, we all want to work together, is like, no, they don't. No, they don't. They want to turn America into Islamic country. They want Sharia law in America. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to tolerate that. And all these people who help this kind of thing, who find it politically convenient because your district is loaded with Muslims, you're like, we need to get ICE out because they're arresting too many of my voters. Yeah, that's kind of the problem. It's nothing but criminals, illegal immigrants, and people who shouldn't be voting who are voting for you. Dead, alive, illegal immigrants, whatever. Democrats don't care. As long as they get more votes, it's all about the power. Unlimited power. They're like the emperor. Except they can't shoot lightning out of their hands. Or can they? Didn't Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk could do that? Candace Owens lost her mind. And Tucker Carlson lost his mind. I mean, it's going around, this insanity. It's going around. You know, I started calling myself the madman because I used to be the craziest guy in any room. Now I'm like, sane? This does not bode well for America. All right, let's talk about something closer to home. Abigail Spanberger. Spanberger's rough rural reception draws Hillary Clinton parallels. Good headline. Rough rural reception. State delegate compares governor's visit to Hillary Clinton's hot sauce moment, calling it pandering to rural constituents. Democratic Abigail Spanberger was roasted for a visit to nearly century-old fiddling competition in southwestern Virginia, where the area's state delegate comparing her unfavorably to failed presidential candidate Hillary Rodham Clinton. Clinton famously surprised the hosts of New York's Breakfast Club radio program in 2016 when she said she regularly carries hot sauce in her purse, a remark critics said echoed Beyonce Knowles and amounted to political pandering to Southern and black voters during her 2016 race to then businessman and reality TV star Donald Trump. Remember way back then? Delegate Ren Williams, a Republican who represents Galax, okay, where 90th annual Old Fiddlers convention took place, told Fox News Digital that he was proud of constituents who made their feelings about the governor known peacefully but strongly. God bless those fiddlers. Williams said it was clear to those assembled that Spanberger was trying to pander to rural residents who have pushed back on several of the governor's priorities, including the judicially halted redistricting effort and the slew of what Richmond Republican leaders have called the bad bills. Quote, it was like about Hillary Clinton in her hot sauce. Nobody was buying it, Williams said. Well, what did Abigail Spanberger say? Over the weekend, Spanberger and her public safety chief, Galax native Stanley Meador, were booed after Meador introduced the governor. Meador previously served as a special agent in charge of FBI's Richmond field office during the anti-Catholic memo controversy that drew congressional scrutiny. Williams told Fox News Digital that people in Galax and surrounding Carroll County, atop the Blue Ridge and just over the border from Andy Griffith's Mount Pilot area in North Carolina, have felt ignored by Spanberger and said their reaction was justified. Quote, these are my constituents, the same ones that she has just disarmed, tried to force into a single congressional district that represented their political views, and lied every step of the way while jockeying for the National Democratic Party nod for her shot at the first female president, Williams said, referring to another parallel between Spanberger and Clinton. Correct. Galax, currently represented in Congress by Representative Morgan Griffin, a Republican from Virginia. It says RVA, so I said Richmond, Virginia, because that's like the shorthand for Richmond around here. Anyway, would have sat at the edge of I guess they are in Richmond. Anyway, edge only to remaining Republican-held district under Richmond Democrats' proposed 10-1 congressional map, which a bipartisan group of the Virginia Supreme Court justices blocked earlier this year. Yeah, that was bold, huh? Virginia's top state Republican, whose district is not far west from where Spanberger got booed, told he's further west? Yeah. Told Fox News Digital the incident proved that the governor that her policies run counter to what his neighbors want from Richmond. So, Southwest Virginians have never been shy about standing up for their values and their way of life, said House Minority Leader Terry Kilgore of Gate City. Quote, when you try to take away their voice in Congress after their Second Amendment rights, you drive up the power bills and pay for a green energy agenda that they don't want and can't afford. Folks are going to let you know how they feel, he said. Former Attorney General Jason Miyares, top figure in the Vote No coalition, opposing Spanberger's redistricting effort, said in a statement that the crowd's response was predictable. Excuse me. Quote, Governor Spanberger booed in Galax. Turns out when you break your campaign promise after a leftist power grab pushing to an unconstitutional gerrymandering effort in order to silence rural Virginia voices, coupled with massive tax increases, results in a frosty reception. Seems obvious to me. It's funny how many people are involved in fighting this kind of tyranny that it's required to fight. Just these regular people, other delegates and so forth. We got to stop this tyranny. And you know what? When it comes to somebody like Abigail Spanberger, she's different than someone like AOC or what's her name, Kamala Harris. Because Kamala Harris and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are stupid. They are very stupid people. And it's just because out of pure luck, I would say, they got to the positions that they are. Abigail Spanberger worked for the CIA. You know what I'm saying? She was a hot blonde. I'm not saying I think she's hot, but she is kind of hot. If she was younger, I would. Okay. Anyway, but what I'm saying, she was a hot blonde working at the CIA. No, and that tells me that someone with a bunch of dirty secrets, and those dirty secrets probably involve personal relationships with people high up in positions of power somewhere in the military or CIA these days, and that concerns me. Second of all, I simply don't trust anyone in the CIA because I know that they have no legal right, no legal recourse to tell you the truth about anything. All right, that's how they work. That's the CIA. They don't have to tell you the truth about anything. So I don't trust CIA. And additionally, once she won, she went and did all the stuff. She tried to take people's guns away. She tried to, redistrict everything to suit the Democrats. And she's clearly a partisan hack. She clearly wants to run for president. And that's what makes her different from like AOC or Kamala Harris, is that she wants it. And when somebody wants power, especially a blonde CIA agent, sorry, That's going to be a no for me, dog. Okay. Oh, why did it scroll down? I don't know why it scrolled down. Anyway, let's go to this next story. All right, Trump brushes off reporter's question. So Trump brushes off reporter question about running for a third term in 2028. Quote, the law is very strong. The president has repeatedly joked about running for a third term while sometimes signaling he may be serious about the idea. Yeah, it's called a joke. Let's see here. President Donald Trump dismissed a question Tuesday night from a reporter about the possibility of him running for a third term in 2028, saying, quote, the law is very strong. Everybody asked me that question, and you know that the law is very strong on that, Trump said while speaking to reporters at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland. I'd love to run, but the law is very strong. I got asked by everyone. Well, even tonight they're screaming at the event, 2028. He said, referring to the Patriot Games, which he attended earlier that day. He said, no, everybody wants me to do it, but the law is very strong. Section 1 of the 22nd Amendment to the U.S. Constitution states that no one can be elected for a president more than twice. The amendment was ratified in the states by in February of 1951, roughly 6 years after the death of Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had served an unprecedented 4 terms as president. Yeah, he screwed it up for everyone. Before Roosevelt, it was a long-standing political norm for presidents to serve no more than 2 terms. Yeah, it was just like the couth thing to do. Very good, my lord. I should take your leave, kind of thing. Humble. But you can't force people. You can't force Donald Trump to be humble. So I mean, I guess it's good that the law's there. Throughout a second term, Trump has walked a fine line between joking and seeking a third term, signaling that he may be serious about the idea. At the White House Correspondents' Dinner, he opened with a speech about wisecrack about running again. We all know about that. FDR, he ruined it for everybody, I guess, is what I could say about it. But maybe that is a good thing that, there's only a 2-term limit. And it's, and the reason why FDR screwed it up for everybody is that, at the end of the Second World War, and he had polio and he was in a wheelchair, so people felt sorry for him, but he still handled the Second World War in a very, very good, almost arguably beautiful way. And so people was like, hey, you did such a good job during war. We'll have you along for a little while longer. Yeah, we'll vote for you again. And then, FDR and all these social programs and stuff like that. It's like after the war, it was a big, hot Democrat mess. And between him and Woodrow Wilson, they're probably the worst presidents ever to exist. Am I ranking like Obama? And yeah, probably. Because it's more important. Like the earlier, like in more foundational changes, Democrat changes to the most dangerous Democrats, or populists, I should say, in America are those who suggested a representation based upon population. That's ridiculous. I've been to cities. It's full of morons. I don't know what happens. If people start living in real close proximity to each other, their IQ just... All right. Let's go to 2 happier stories. And we'll get out of here, I guess. Homeowner blames Militant Vegan for missing milk before the camera reveals the real thief. Gordon Campbell discovered that the young fox had been helping itself to doorstop deliveries for about a month. Where do they still deliver milk? After weeks of missing milk deliveries, a homeowner finally caught the thief on camera, and it wasn't who he expected. Gordon Campbell, 42, lives near Glasgow, Scotland. Okay, they still do milk delivery in Scotland? Interesting. In the city, the biggest city? So he set up security cameras after bottles of milk repeatedly disappeared from his doorstep, according to SWNS. Now, when he checked the footage, he discovered a young fox had been helping itself to the deliveries. The animal showed up, trotting up to the front steps, grabbing a bottle of milk in its mouth and knocking it over and carrying it away. Mystery has been unfolding for about a month, Campbell told SWNS. At first, he suspected a person was responsible. Yeah, humans are more dangerous, than foxes, and they're pretty dangerous. He even joked that the culprit might have been a militant vegan before discovering it was actually a fox. Didn't really know exactly who'd be doing it. I thought it was a person or an animal. So he kind of... The magpies got the blame for a while, as they're really smart birds. Yes, they are. But I was thinking that they probably didn't have the strength to roll the bottle away. That's true. I mean, if the magpies got to it, they would have left the bottle. Because the fox just, I'll take this away. I'll figure it back in my den. I'll get away into it. Determined to solve the mystery, Campbell set up what he described as a sting by placing a spare glass bottle filled with milk outside while positioning a camera to capture the culprit. The plan worked within hours. Just after 2:30 a.m. on July 20th, Fox appeared and took the bait. And I just thought it was kind of hilarious that this cute fox is popping up and taking it away, Campbell said. All was forgiven when I saw its big ears and its wee face. You know, speaking of wee face, he would chew your face off. It's a fox, man. Campbell has been receiving milk deliveries since COVID-19 pandemic, but temporarily stopped the service because of the repeated thefts, opting to buy milk at the grocery store instead. Now he plans, now that he knows he's been taking the bottles, Campbell said he may have to resume deliveries. But the plan is to leave protective box outside so the milk can be stored safely. Fox wasn't making his first appearance around the family home. Just months earlier, Campbell's cat, Bruce, chased another fox away after it tried to get into the house through the cat door. Yeah, I mean, what's funny is, like, people look at foxes, and I think it's because of all the centuries of us having dogs. It's like, for example, you're looking at, step out the back door and you see a fox in the backyard. And you're like, look at that fox, that red, noble canine creature. And the fox is just like, I better get out of here. And the fox leaves. Why does the fox leave? Because the fox knows what the fox is. And he knows that you piss off the human might kill you. Even if the human is stupid, it's like, oh, look how cute that fox is. Look at the baby fox. I'm going to go say hi to the baby fox. Where's your mama? They're foxes. They're wild animals. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying they're evil. All right? They're not like horses or something like that. Because, I mean, I guess, like, in a fight, I could beat a fox. I don't want to, but you can't be looking at these creatures and say, oh, they're so cute. Like, you know, what's a cutie animal people love? A koala. A koala will mess you up, man. And you're like, oh, what a cute teddy bear. You take them away from the eucalyptus for 2 seconds. They just want to sit in the tree and get high. Leave the koalas alone. But I mean, it's not unreasonable to assume a militant vegan was stealing your milk. I don't know what a militant vegan would do with your milk, but and the whole reason is that, you know, humans are far more dangerous than a fox. But don't make a mistake about foxes not being dangerous. All right, I think that's my public service announcement for the week. Let's do this last story, which I find hilarious. Worst aquarium ever review sends whaling museum sales soaring 250%. The one-star review is printed on t-shirts, sweatshirts, and tote bags and is flying off the shelves. Excuse me. A museum is cashing in after a one-star Google review called it, quote, the worst aquarium ever, and became an unexpected viral hit. The New Bedford Whaling Museum in Massachusetts, which highlights the history and science and art of whaling rather than marine animals, embraced... So even the writer's telling you, yeah, it's not very good. Embraced the one-star review by boldly printing the phrase on t-shirts, sweatshirts, and tote bags. The merchandise has since gone viral on social media, sending sales soaring by 250% in just 1 week, the Associated Press reported. The now famous review was posted on Google in 2020 after a visitor mistakenly referred to the museum as an aquarium, writing that it was the worst aquarium ever. Rather than ignoring the criticism, staff turned it into a merchandise design featuring the review on the back and whale skeleton on the front. Quote, a few weeks ago, we added the worst aquarium ever merchandise line with a new crew neck t-shirt and tote bags, Amanda McMullen, president and CEO of the New Bedford Whaling Museum, told Fox News Digital. Since July 20th, we've had more than 2,400 orders from all over the globe. That's great. The shirt recently gained national attention after they were featured in multiple news outlets, helping to introduce the museum to an even wider audience. Excuse me. We turned a bad review into a t-shirt last fall with a whale skeleton in the front and a review on the back, and this launched in time for our holiday shopping season, McMullen said. It was an instant success. Well, she's proud of herself, huh? Adding to the irony, the museum opened a 250-gallon saltwater tank earlier this year featuring local marine life, including blue crabs, sea stars, and northern pufferfish, as part of a partnership with the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth School for Marine and Science Technology. The unexpected success reflects the institution's personality, said Annalise Conway, Chief Engagement Officer at the Whaling Museum. There isn't a strategy to be authentic, Conway told the AP. It just sort of happens. I like that. Quote, the person who sold you the ticket is the person who is modeling the merchandise. Oh, okay. The museum's decision to embrace the joke has also won over social media users who praised it for turning the review into a marketing success. Quote, I love it. Kudos to the museum for leaning into the joke and embracing it, one person wrote. Obviously, that is hilarious. Now, first of all, the fact that it's not an aquarium, hilarious. Second of all, that they turned a 1-star review into a marketing genius design is great. For example, if somebody clicks on my videos and they're like, oh, he's going to be talking about, I don't know, Civil War cavalry. And they're like, oh, I'm interested in that subject. And they click on it and then they watch my video and they're like, when's he going to get to the, I clicked to where it is. Okay, he's talking about the cavalry. It's like, horses are evil. What? I can understand you being disappointed and possibly misled for my clickbait. I'm sorry. But I mean, go ahead. Give me a room. It's like, worst podcast ever. Put me on the map. It's the worst, ugliest. Yeah, go make a review. Shock Monkey Radio, wherever they do those things. I don't care about that kind of stuff. I don't care, like Rotten Tomatoes, determines things. I don't care about people say who's the best podcast ever. I'm not expecting some notification saying, hey, we want to invite you to the greatest podcasters ever convention, and only the coolest dirt can go, and you're invited. I'm not looking for that. I don't even want 5 stars. I want 13 stars. If you do 13 stars, that's awesome. But even if you give me a 1-star review and you say, hey, it's the most horrible podcast ever, with the ugliest presenter I've ever seen. That way you sound British when you use presenter instead of host. Anyway, that's the point. It's like, I'm not doing this for accolades or money. I mean, money would be nice, but I mean, I certainly don't want to be the best podcaster in the world. I don't want to be, because that could mean changing. That's the only thing that makes sense about like somebody like Candace Owen and Tucker Carlson and the way they change things is that they change the way they do things in order to gain more of an audience. You know what I mean? And I don't want to do that. I refuse to do that. I am who I am. I'm Papa the Sailor, man. I'm Papa the Sailor. And this is going to be the end of the show. I want to remind you, I was rambling there. I have a Patreon. Patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate that. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. You can follow me on social media. At Denolitsaw, that's the word wasteland spelled backwards, on Twitter. At SLRobins13 on Instagram. And Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman. And I love you.
The Madman loves you all. From the big to the small.